Good morning, everyone. We'll call the Housing Committee meeting of March 23rd to order. It's the 10:30 hearing at room 423. And we have a number of measures this morning, but we are actually going to take the resolutions up first because today is the deadline for resolutions. So to help HMSO, we're going to take those first. Before we get started, just wanted to remind everyone that we do have a time limit, so keep it within reason. It's within, hopefully within the 2-minute time frame that we're giving you. We'll be a little bit flexible, but please respect everyone's time as we move forward with some of these bills. And so let's move on to our first resolution, which is HCR 149 HR 125. Requesting the Legislative Reference Bureau to conduct a study regarding affordable housing in the county of Maui. First up to testify is, we have a comments from the Legislative Reference Bureau. And that's the only one signed up. Anyone else in the meeting room wish to testify on HCR 149 or HR 125? All right, seeing none, we will move on to HCR 167, which is requesting the Office of Planning to convene a task force to review affordable sales guidelines in Hawaii and other high-cost areas to determine a methodology for setting realistic sales prices for affordable housing in the state. So quite a mouthful on that title. So we have HCDA, who's in support. HCDA? Okay. HCDA, but we have HHFDC with comments. Anyone from HHFDC?
Good morning. Chair Nakamura, Vice Chair Hashimoto, Denise Matsubara from HHFDC. We stand on our written testimony offering comments. And just wanted to note that the guidelines are simply that, guidelines. And I'll leave it at that. I mean, to come up with these guidelines, it's based on the HUD census, and to revise, doing that would take a lot of research and work to maintain credibility in use of guidelines using the census data. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Happy to answer questions.
Thank you very much. Moving on, we have the Office of Planning with comments. Anyone from the Office of Planning?
Morning, Chair. Rodney Funakoshi from the State Office of Planning. So OP stands on its written testimony, offering comments and expressing some concerns about our lack of staff capacity to undertake the task here. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Okay. And we have two individuals who submitted testimony, but doesn't seem like they signed up for Zoom in support. Any others on the Zoom wishing to testify? Oh, is HCDA back on? HCDA?
Yes, Chair, I'm back on.
Okay, go ahead.
And this is regarding
HDR 167.
167. Yeah, we are in support of the resolution and happy to participate.
All right. Any questions from the members on HCR 167? All right. Seeing that, I guess I have one question for the Office of Planning. Office of Planning, who do you think should lead this study since you feel that it's not the Office of Planning?
Probably an agency with more technical expertise in housing I'd rather not name agencies to volunteer others, but that seems more appropriate than OP.
Okay, okay. OP is willing to participate though, huh?
Yes.
All right. Any further questions from the members? Seeing none, we will take a short recess for decision making. So recess. So call back the housing meeting back to order. We're going to be voting on HCR 149, which is relating to an affordable housing study and for the County of Maui. So taking a look at this resolution, because the County of Maui recently released the updated housing study for that pretty much the island of Maui, so it does do a little bit of County of Maui. It's being released this week by Hawaii Community Assets with the Maui County Council. In addition, the Hawaii Housing Finance Development Corporation has indicated they have some of this data. And so we're going to amend this resolution to focus it more on the areas, rural areas of Molokai and Lanai, because that's, I think, where a lot of studies haven't focused on and taken a look at. And I think that would be much more valuable to housing development in those areas. We also are going to move this from the Legislative Reference Bureau to the Hawaii Housing and Finance Development Corporation, which has more housing expertise and also has some reports on file that they probably can pull some of this data, so they won't be starting from the beginning. So this necessarily isn't going to be a ground up study. There's also, we can just take some existing data. So throughout the resolution, we're just going to update it from anything that says the County of Maui. We're just going to focus it on Molokai and Lanai, and then anything where it says Legislative Reference Bureau, we're updated to the Hawaii Housing Finance and Development Corporation. And the other technical and non-substantive revisions. Members, any questions? Concerns? Okay. Sure, for the vote.
Okay. We're voting on HCR 149. Recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Representative Aquino.
Aye.
Representative DeCoy.
Aye.
Representative Irizan.
Aye.
Representative Kitagawa. Aye. Representative Kumi.
Aye.
And Representative McDermott is to Vice Chair. The recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, Chair. Same recommendation for HR 125. Okay. Same recommendation.
Same recommendation to pass with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Are there any names? Are there any no WRs? If not, the recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, Chair. Last resolution is we are requesting HCR 167, which is a study from the Office of Planning to convene a task force to do the study on realistic sales prices for affordable housing in the state. So based on some of the testimony, and especially from the Office of Planning, who is not able to feel like they have the expertise to complete this study, we're going to move this study to the Hawaii Housing Finance and Development Corporation and ask them to convene a task force. And we're going to constrict this to a uniform definition of affordable housing in the state. And so we passed out a draft for you folks to take a look at that essentially changes anything that refers to the Office of Planning. It now moves to the Hawaii Housing Finance and Development Corporation. We'll also take out some of the language in the further be it resolves and on page 3 to, again, make it just that definition of affordable housing. And we'll make other technical and non-substantive revisions to make the, it's also taking some of the requirements away from some of the what the Office of Planning was tasked to do to make it a little bit more streamlined. So hopefully this will help us to get some answers relating to the definition of affordable housing and making it a little easier. I think the bottom line is it's a very difficult question to answer, and I think it takes up a little bit of money to actually make this happen. So I think this would be our first request to HHFDC to see what they can come up with. And if they're not able to do it, maybe the next time it'll have to be a bill within the appropriation, but at least this is we'll keep this moving to see where this heads. And I know the Senate also has a version as well. So Vice Chair, any questions, concerns? All right, Chair.
Okay. We're voting on HCR 167. The recommendation is to pass with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Are there any WRs? Are there any no? Vice Chair, the recommendation is adopted.
All right, thank you, Chair. So we have passed out all of our resolutions. So we will move on to the rest of the agenda. starting at the top with SB 302. So we will continue taking testimony on the notice measures. Again, those who are on the Zoom, just remember we do have the time frame a little bit more flexible, but we want to respect everyone's time. So SB 302, we have this is relating to tax credits. And our first person to testify is Department of Taxation with comments.
Yes, Vice Chair. Jonathan White on behalf of the Director of Tax. The department will stand on its written testimony providing comments on this bill, and I'll be available for any questions. Thanks.
All right. We have Tax Foundation of Hawaii with comments.
Thank you, Representative, Vice Chair, Chair, and members of the committee. Tom Yamachika from Tax Foundation of Hawaii. We have submitted written comments. Our primary concern is the American Rescue Plan Act, which would seem to prohibit this type of thing. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you very much.
All right. We also have testimony with comments from the Department of Budget and Finance. Hawaii Children's Action Network speaks in support. League of Women Voters Hawaii in support. Americans for Democratic Action in support. Anyone on the Zoom that signed up or didn't sign up but would like to testify on SB 302? All right. Seeing none, we will move on to SB 867 SB1 relating to affordable housing. We have HHFDC in support.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair Hashimoto, members of the committee, Denise Matsubara from HHFDC. We stand on our written testimony supporting this measure on the section that extends the sunset date for the credit for 6 years and defer to DOE tax for the rest of the bill. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Right. Thank you. Department of Taxation. Comment?
Yes, Vice Chair. Jonathan White on behalf of the Director of Tax again. The department will stand on its written testimony providing comments on this bill, and I'll be available for any questions. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Tom Yamachika, Tax Foundation of Hawaii with comments.
Thank you, Chair and members. Tom Yamachika from Tax Foundation of Hawaii. Our concern about this bill is pretty much the same as last bill. Even extension of an existing credit could create problems under the American Rescue Plan Act. So that is our concern. We'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Sugar Creek Capital.
Well, Chair Will Kane, on behalf of Sugar Creek Capital, we stand on our written testimony to support the intent of the bill, but offer to point to the language that was included in SB 659 as the preferred language to be included. Mahalo.
All right, thank you. Hunt Companies in support.
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Laurie Lum on behalf of Hunt Companies. We'll stand on our testimony supporting the intent and also noting our preference for Senate Bill 659 HD1. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you. We also received testimony in support, or actually with comments from Department of Budget and Finance, City and County of Honolulu, Department of Community Services in support, Neighborhood Place of Puna in support, and NIOP in support. Anyone on the Zoom from that sent in supporting testimony did not get called, wanted to testify, or anyone else wanting to testify on SB 867? All right, members, any questions, concerns? All right, seeing none, we will move on to SB 39 relating to housing. We have HHFDC in support.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair. Denise Matsubara, HHFDC. We support this measure and also have requested some amendments that are included in our written testimony. Happy to answer questions. Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, thank you. And Tyler Dos Santos Tam with the Hawaii Regional Council of Carpenters in support.
Yep. Aloha, Chair Nakamura and Vice Chair Hashimoto. Tyler Dos Santos Tam on behalf of the Hawaii Regional Council of Carpenters in strong support with proposed amendments. As you know, this bill is intended to solve a problem that was encountered as some developers started to use the 201H 36A5 program. And what the proposed amendments would do is allow for county waivers such as sewer waivers, permitting fees, et cetera, to be used in conjunction with the GET waiver that's currently allowed under the 21H 36A5 program.
All right, thank you, Tyler. We also received testimony from DLIR with comments, Department of Budget and Finance with comments, the Michaels Organization in support, Kohala Coast Resort Association in support, and NIAP in support. Anyone else on the Zoom wishing to testify? SB 39. All right, members, any questions, concerns? Chair Nakamura.
Yeah, I have a question for Tyler Dos Santos Tam.
Yep.
Good, hi. I just wanted to find out, do you have a sense of how many active, interested projects and developers there are to take advantage of this program?
Yeah, I can think of about 3 off the top of my head. And one actually tried to use the program, but was told that they, under the current statute, couldn't utilize both the waivers and the county waivers and the GT waivers simultaneously. So we know there was one that went all the way down this path and were told no. And I can think of about 3 others who have projects who would qualify.
So there is interest, and by clearing this up, you feel that it will help other developers come on board and possibly use this program.
That's the intent.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Seeing none, we'll move to SB 142 relating to housing development. We have HPHA in support.
Good morning, Vice Chair, Chair, members of the committee. Thank you for this opportunity to testify. Hakeem Monsafi with the Hawaii Public Housing Authority. We stand in strong support and we stand on our testimony for that. Just reminding everyone that the HPHA is the only one that serves AMIs from 0 to 30%, with the average folks that are housed with us, the average 20% AMI or less, $12,000 or so a year. This will go a long way in helping to be able to develop affordable housing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have Department of Education with comments.
Hello, Chair Nakamura, Vice Chair Hashimoto. Randy Tanaka with the Department of Education. On behalf of Superintendent Kishimoto, we have respectfully submitted comments. Thank you for your time. We stand by should you have any questions. Mahalo.
All right, thank you. And we also received written testimony in support by Catholic Charities Hawaii. Anyone else wishing to testify? SB 142 on the Zoom. All right, seeing none. Members, any questions? Sure.
I have a question for Hakeem at Hawaii Public Housing Authority. Hakeem, I wanted to find out, in the projects that you are anticipating to develop, these would not be only for families with 0 to 30% of area median income. Is that correct? Is it?
That is correct. To be able to continue to have subsidy from the federal government, we can only replace maximum 1-to-1. So for example, Mayor Wright or others, we can do that. For the state properties, however, we can do as many as the state legislature would like us to do, so long as we operated out of break even.
So then if you go beyond the 30% and go up to 140%, that would all be considered affordable, correct?
Yes, the entire project will be in this area. What makes us unique, because we're a state agency, any fees that we incur that will increase the gap, which we will have to come back to the legislature to provide us with that gap financing. So in other words, we'll just be asking the state to give us money so we can give it to another state agency that may not be using it to build this housing anytime soon.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
And
yes, Chair.
And so do you anticipate doing any of your projects with 140% and above area median income?
None at this time, but it is a possibility. It could happen. HUD does encourage mixed income use development. So it is a possibility that could happen, yes.
I feel like that's where we want to go, mixed income communities. So it's not all congregated, not all tenement type housing. So I guess the question is, if you do a mixed use development and you have market units, do you want those market units to all also be exempt from this school impact fee? Or just the affordable units?
We're good with just the affordable units. I think the market units can handle.
Yeah, I'm contemplating some language just to articulate that piece so that it would just be the affordable units.
Yes, that sounds good. So excluding market units.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions? SB 142. All right, seeing none, we'll move to SB 799, which is relating to condominiums. We have two individuals who have submitted written testimony, none signed up to testify. We have Raylene Tenno in support and Denise Boisvert in support. Any members on the Zoom wishing to testify on SB 799? Seeing none, we'll move on to the last measure, SB 804, SB1 HD1, relating to teacher rental housing. We have HPHA in support.
Thank you, Vice Chair, Chair, and members of the committee. We stand in support and we are here to help in any matter. I can also answer any questions that you may have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. HHFDC in support.
Thank you, Vice Chair, members of the committee. HHFDC stands on its written testimony supporting the intent. Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay. Department of Education in support.
Hello, Chair Nakamura, Vice Chair Hashimoto, thank you very much for your time. We stand in support of the bill, here to answer any questions you may have. Aloha.
Thank you. We have the Hawaii State Teachers Association in support.
Aloha, Laverne Moore, speaking on behalf of Corey Rosenlee, President of the Hawaii State Teachers Association. We stand on our written testimony, and I want to point out the information that affordable teacher rental housing would attract and retain our highly qualified educators. For I have experienced firsthand a number of our peers who were innovative, creative, and loved teaching, but had to leave Hawaii because of the cost of affordable housing. This was a major loss to our students and the teaching profession. We need to start acquiring affordable housing for our teachers so that we can keep our teaching profession. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you. Appreciate it. We also have written testimony from the Hawaii Government Employees Association with comment and Stanford Car Development in support. Members, any questions for the testifiers? Okay. Seeing none, we will recess for decision making, and I will turn the gavel back to the chair.
We're reconvening the Committee on Housing, and we'll start off with SB 302, SB 2. This is the low-income renter tax credit bill, and there are concerns. I was hoping this would be the year we could pass this bill out. There are concerns about the American Rescue Plan provision and not wanting to jeopardize the 1.6 billion in federal funding. So we're going to defer this measure. The next item is SB 867, SB 1. We'd like to pass with amendments. I know there's a similar concern about the American Rescue Plan, but there are ongoing conversations with the Department of Treasury from many states who have low-income housing tax credit programs. So we would like to keep this bill moving while these questions are being settled at the federal level. We want to defect the date to 12/1/50. And I think that's all the changes we're going to make. Vice Chair, we can take the vote.
All right, we're voting on SB 867, SB 1 with amendments. Chair and Vice Chair vote aye. Representative Kino is excused. Representative DeQuoit. Aye. Representative Iligan. Aye. Representative Kidegawa. Aye. Representative Takumi is excused and Representative McDermott is excused. Chair, your measure is adopted.
Thank you. The next item is SB 39, SD 2. This is relating to housing. This is the GEP credit. And I'm going to turn this over to Vice Chair Hashimoto for we want to pass this with amendments to review the amendments.
Thank you, Chair. We've been trying to work closely with some of the stakeholders on this bill, and I think we've come to a fairly good compromise, and that was included in the testimony of HSG and also the Carpenters Union. So essentially, we're going to delete some of the sections that they suggested and also add in the language, which states a project for which Section 236A5 prevailing wages have been deemed the prevailing wages may receive a waiver of real property taxes, permitting fees, water and sewer development fees, and other such development fees from a county. And I think that will get us closer to having resolution of allowing us to utilize this initiative and to help to spur development, and will also allow for technical and non-substantive amendments. And I believe we will effect the date to July 1st, 20. Well, actually, I guess it's already defected, so we don't have to touch the date. So
All right.
that was it in the next, Chair.
Thank you. Let's take the vote then.
All right.
Or are there any questions? Okay. Let's take the vote.
All right. Recommendation is to pass SB 39 with amendments, noting the presence of all members with the exception of Representative McDermott and Aquino. Any members voting with reservation? Any members voting no? With all others voting aye, the recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The next item is SB 142, SD 2. On this bill, we would like to make some amendments on page 4, line 1. We just want to clarify that it's going to read any affordable housing units in a project or property developed by the Hawaii Public Housing Authority would be exempt from the school impact fee. Also, we would like to add a new number 6 that reads any affordable housing units in projects assisted by the Hawaii Housing Finance Development Corporation. We also will defect the date to 12/1/50. And I believe those are the amendments. Are there any questions, concerns? Vice Chair, let's take the vote.
Recommendation of the chair is to pass SB 142 SD 2 with amendments, noting the presence of all members with the exception of Representative McDermott. Any members voting with reservation? Any members voting no? With all others voting aye, your recommendation is adopted.
Moving on to SB 799, SD 2 relating to condominiums. We're gonna okay, we're going to change the 67% to 90% of units for sale to prospective owner occupants, then defect the date to 12/1/50. This makes it consistent with the House bill that we passed earlier. Are there any questions or concerns? And again, this is all about trying to minimize speculation and allow these condominiums to be lived in by owner occupants. So, okay, if there are no questions, Vice Chair, let's take the vote.
Okay, recommendation of the chair is to pass SB 799 SD1 with amendments, noting the presence of all members with the exception of Representative McDermott. Any members voting with reservations? Any members voting no? Without others voting aye, the recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. And the last bill, SB 804, SD1, HD1. The chair's recommendation is that we pass this with amendments, and we will defect the date to 12/1/50. Are there any questions or concerns? If not, Vice Chair.
Recommendation of the chair is to pass SB 804 SD1 HD1 with amendments, noting the presence of all members with the exception of Representative McDermott. Any members voting with reservations? Any members voting no? With all others voting aye, the recommendation is adopted.
Okay. I believe that's the last item on the agenda. Thank you, committee members, for your support this session. And this meeting is now adjourned.